He was blue, and he was blue like him. Blue. He was...
Is that the actual lyrics?
Blue. No.
Everything was blue like he was blue. Like Smurfs?
Yeah, it was
I
about
saw
Smurfs.
a really mean prank today.
In
on
person?
Reddit.
Oh, okay.
On Reddit.
You just saw it in the street?
These two guys texted their friend, and I guess they're going to go to like a darts tournament, and they said, hey, we're going to dress up like Smurfs. And then they didn't dress up like Smurfs. So they pick up their friend just totally dressed up as Smurfette, like decked out. And at first the dude is like victory pose, his arms are up, and then you see they're not dressed up, and just the saddest face comes over him. I felt for him, man.
He shouldn't be their friend.
I know, right?
They're dead now.
Maybe.
That's what happened.
Dead to me.
Smurfette murdered him.
Well, I have to
Then.
wonder, is that funny or is that just really mean? It's both.
It's funny as a third person like story.
Yes. Yeah.
But-
it's funny to hear about, but it probably wasn't funny for that guy.
Yeah.
Okay, I have an update to streaming card gate. I'm going to call it that.
Yeah?
'Cause
It's real catchy. It rolls right off the tongue.
I know, right? As our listeners probably know, I have to constantly get up about half an hour into every podcast and then reset the camera because we're using a stupid Canon camera that can only record for 29 minutes and 59 seconds because of European tax laws.
Oh, tariffs and things.
Oh, tariffs. Yeah, thanks, Europeans. I don't think I can blame all Europeans for that. Thanks, probably like 8 European lawmakers.
Yeah.
Or possibly the camera companies themselves.
Well, really, whatever. That thing that broke is the problem.
Okay, so what I figured out, I thought that the capture card that we use to stream our little streaming camera to the computer was broken. Turns out that, I thought I told my iPad to go into Do Not Disturb, and then it says, nah, I'm just going to be all not
Wait,
Do Not
that's
Disturb.
weird. It does look like it's on Do Not Disturb.
Maybe Anna can bypass my Do Not Disturb, potentially. I don't know. I need to go look into...
I thought that only worked with calls.
I did too.
I don't know. The world's
man.
changing.
Apple needs to get their stuff together, needs to up their game.
You just bought an iPad Pro. I think they've upped it well enough.
That's probably true. Anyway, what I found out is the streaming card doesn't work on USB 3.0 ports, but it does work on USB 2.0 ports. And this wasn't a problem back when I was running Windows 8, but now that we're on Windows 10, it is a problem, and I don't know what to do. Because USB 2.0 is too slow for streaming. It just doesn't work.
Drivers are dumb.
Our cameras are too good.
There
there we
it
go.
is.
Your next job is to write a custom Windows driver
I don't know if that's
for
necessary.
controlling a streaming video card. I think it's fine. It's probably fine.
Also, I don't think I'm qualified to write a driver. I have no idea how to do that.
Also, for the particularly sentimental among our audience, I will preemptively pour a 40 out for the previous teapot. It's not actually dead. It's just not here.
Yeah. Wasn't
Some people
it like leaking or something?
It's not leaking. It's just small. So I think like we can each get 1 cup of tea out of it during the recording, but then I think only one of us can have like a full cup for a second time.
And it's a fight.
Or we can fight. We could have like some fisticuffs on the podcast.
Right on the podcast.
Or I guess we could maybe do the logical thing and do halvesies. But I did the
dumb.
extra logical thing, and I just got a bigger teapot. Eventually, I'm just going to have like a gallon.
Well, when you just have like 15,000 teapots
We only have 3
lying around.
teapots, I think.
For now.
For now, yeah. It's like computer monitors. You buy a second one, you're going to start buying a third one, fourth one.
Is that true?
That's what people told me on the internet. And people don't lie on the internet. So
I've never done that.
eventually it's going to happen, right?
I've never needed more than 2.
I wanted 3, but what I decided to do is just go to 2 4K monitors.
You could also just simplify your workflow. Not need 8 gallons of screen space.
No.
You know?
Okay, I'm trying to simplify my workflow.
Well, I mean, compared to 3 or 4 monitors, because you just showed me it working on 2 the other day.
Oh, I did that.
It's just fine.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, why would you be like, I absolutely need 15,000 screens?
I don't need 15,000, but let me put it this way. Because I work in After Effects, I have a lot of little panels and docks that I need to work with. And on a smaller monitor, you have to hide them, which means every time I want to go use an effect, I need to go find the window, bring it up, and then drag the effect. And a really good example is I have a plugin that does little in animations, and then I have the reverse of that plugin that does out transitions, and I had no room to have both of those on screen at once. So every time I wanted to do an in and an out for like a picture flying in, I would have to bring one to the fore and then bring the other one to the fore afterwards.
Well, that just means you need a bigger monitor, like a
Yes,
second, unless
that's
you're
what
going
I
to
did.
break it across monitors.
Exactly. So that's what I ended up doing is instead
Yeah.
of getting 3 monitors, I got 2 4K monitors, and I have them scaled to 1.5 times because 4K resolution at native resolution is like impossible to read. But I think that ends up being like 1440p equivalent resolution, and that is perfectly fine for getting all my After Effects tools on one page. And the other thing I did recently, and maybe we can do an episode on this, I don't know. We should probably do an episode and just like, well, we did the automation episode.
That's true.
We'll do another automation episode in the future. But I got this thing called the Stream Deck from Elgato, and it's just this little device that sits on your desk, and it has 15 buttons, and every button is a screen, and you can program every button to do basically anything you want. Now, in the Elgato software, it's kind of built for streamers like Twitch gamers and stuff. So most of the built-in integrations they have are just for like Twitch or YouTube or OBS or tweeting, hey, I'm streaming. But there is 2 commands. There's launch and there's hotkey. And those 2 combined with a program called auto hotkey let you do basically anything. Like I think the limitation is just my ability to code at this point.
Fair.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited.
We can do another episode, and it's going to be called How Tom Copes with His Tendency to Complicate His Life.
I'm simplifying my life through complication.
You complicate it first, and then you attempt to simplify it and rein it in.
Look, I want to have cool animations in my videos.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying.
I could simplify by recording every video on an iPhone with me just sitting in one position.
You'd get as many
never
views.
doing a cut.
Don't
no,
even
I
question
wouldn't.
it.
I wouldn't. I guarantee you I wouldn't.
Other people put in way less effort.
Yeah, but I wouldn't get as many views. I honestly don't think I would. I think that we've built an audience because we do.
We just
cool
we wait
animations and
until
jokes and
we
stuff.
switch to the audience that doesn't care.
Oh, okay. I would be very
Yeah.
apathetic about my work if I were to do that.
Oh, I'm not saying it's a good idea.
That's true.
I'm just saying it would feasibly still work.
Also, we have an example of me sitting here talking and never doing any B-roll or cuts, and it's this. And it turns out
That's true.
fewer people listen to the podcast.
Well, this
than watch
isn't the same
YouTube videos.
channel, and
It's
it's like
true.
hour-long things. That's pretty intimidating.
That is true, yeah. I don't know. There is a guy on YouTube who does exactly what you just described, though. He has a personal development channel. His name's Leo. I think it's actualized.org. And he's gotten really into the weeds lately. Like when I found him, it was very grounded personal development stuff, like how to, take care of your finances or how to be productive. And now it's like, I took this experimental psychoactive drug and here's my trip report, or I don't know, like weird stuff. Or like I'm doing a transcendental meditation seminar or retreat where I go into the forest and meditate for like 6 days straight. So I don't know. It's not really for me.
That does seem less direct.
Yeah. But his channel was way bigger than mine when I started out. And he just has like 45-minute videos where it's all one take in front of the camera, just him talking to the camera. He never cuts. He never redoes a line. He just talks.
Yeah, see, what I'm trying to say is your problem is you care too much.
I probably do.
You're artistic. If you just don't care and you make everything into an assembly line process and you take all the soul out of it, it could be easier. You might save yourself a few minutes.
Soul removal project.
See? It's a
That's
great
true.
idea.
I could save 30 seconds by compromising my soul.
Why not? It's called efficiency.
It is, yeah. Speaking of efficiency, maybe we should get to the topic that I planned for the
We're
day.
never efficient at that.
That's true. We are never efficient about that, but that's fine. That's what a podcast is for, right?
Yeah.
That's why we are efficient on the videos. So I, on the fly, I changed the title of the podcast, but it's basically the same.
I had no idea. So
Yeah.
what's the new title?
So the new title is 14 Ways to Spend Your Time in College. And now
tell
that I've
Ashley.
said the number, well, I mean, I don't think the
Oh,
art,
wait, actually, you're right. That's
the
still
art
close
doesn't
enough.
need
That's
to
close
change.
enough. We're
The
good.
art can still say how to spend your time in college.
I didn't know how different it was going to be.
But I sat down and I listed out all of my little top level bullet points here, and I ended up with 14. So boom, there's that 14 in the title.
Oh, we got to have them
Compelling.
numbers.
I know, right? And I've heard that scientific research shows that 14 is actually the best number.
Does it?
No.
It's the best
I
number
lied about
of
that.
all time.
But I wanted to do an episode to basically just try to list I don't know if this is going to be a comprehensive list, but just a bunch of ideas of how people can spend their time in college and whether or not they're worth it.
Okay.
Essentially. And I wanted to start with getting your opinion on classes. And
Take some.
You should take some.
You should take some classes.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Obviously, you're going to go to college. You're going to choose a major eventually, and you're going to spend some time in classes. One of the things that I thought about a lot when I was early on in college is whether or not I should either double major or get a minor. And I don't know. Did you ever think about doing any of that kind of stuff?
I did indeed. I thought about getting a French minor. I thought about double majoring in international business because I wanted to live in another country and work there. And I didn't end up doing either of those.
So what was your decision process like for not doing them?
Well, the decision to not minor in French was the same as my decision to change my major, which was originally French, to MIS before I even started classes. And that is, what is a paper that says I speak French going to do that speaking French wouldn't do by itself? I don't need the extra, thing here, and the paper is not going to... I don't think they're going to be, whoa, he has a minor in French, we better pay him more. If I speak French, I think that would be the same difference.
I do imagine you being in an interview and just all of a sudden breaking into French.
Yeah, I think that would be more impressive.
A little
than
more impressive, yeah.
And also I could focus more on actually learning to converse rather than, I don't know, a history class or some of the side stuff. So I didn't end up getting a minor in that. And I didn't double major, I think just because I thought that it would not be efficient.
Yeah.
And that I ended up getting an internship close to the area. And I basically stopped pushing quite so hard to go to another country immediately to work.
Oh, you're saying you got an internship close to our physical
physical location.
Okay, because I was going to say your internship was not international business.
No, I got an internship that was close, and I kind of stopped trying as hard to go to another country and live there and stuff. Ended up in a long-term relationship, and that kind of changes things, especially because I would not like to isolate her in countries where she does not speak the language. That doesn't sound fun or easy for her to get a job,
Yeah. Though I did hear that
awesome.
Ashley knows 15 words in Chinese. So that's a
Does
start.
she know 15? Maybe.
I don't know. I just pulled a number out of a hat
I don't know.
that is behind
It's a
me
good
the
question.
desk, as far as you guys know.
We should list out how many words we remember and see who wins.
I know.
She took more years than me.
I know basically, I know ni hao,
Good work.
and I think that's it.
You did it. That's the only word. That's the whole thing.
I knew some more because I remember filming that video of you and your partner in the Chinese class where you guys had to do the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
So I think I picked up a few words back then, but like with any language, disuse leads to just straight up forgetting all of it.
I know very little at this point. But I guess, long story short, the point of the minor and double major I was considering stopped being my interest.
Okay.
And also, I was more so about... I had my language blog, Polyglot, going. I was trying to do all these cool things on the side and get good internships. And my thought was that who cares what this paper is going to say, because I'm going to do more impressive things that make them not even care to ask about my GPA or any of this nonsense. They're going to be like, yeah, class is boring. Tell me about this cool thing on your resume that you put there. And so I stopped caring as much about classwork.
Yeah, cool. I mean, that's pretty much a mirror image of my decision-making process. So I don't want to go too far into it because we have a lot on the list, but I will briefly mention that when I went into college, MIS was my intended primary major, but some people had said that, hey, if you do MIS in accounting, then there's this whole opening up field of computer-based, forensic accounting where you're going in and you're auditing financial systems, and it requires a lot of IT knowledge, and you're going to be able to get a job so easily. So I briefly considered double majoring in accounting, and I kind of do like accounting. When I have to open up Xero and do the budgeting, or not the budgeting, the reconciliations at the end of every month, I'm not mad about it. And then I actually love building budget spreadsheets and financial modeling and stuff like that. It's kind of fun. But it was kind of the same decision that you came to, where I realized if I give myself time outside of classes, I'm going to have time for independent learning projects. I'm going to have time for part-time jobs. I'm going to have time for all these things that are actually going to build out the other sections of a resume and give me a lot more experience-based things to talk about during an interview.
Yeah.
So I kind of axed it. General considerations when it comes to majoring and minoring, or double majoring and minoring. Some double majors are going to require more investment and time than others. So let's say that you are doing MIS and you want to pick up a minor in computer science for some reason. Maybe you're just really interested in algorithm design or something, and you want the business education that MIS brings, but you want to dig deeper into computer science. Well, depending on what university you go to, there may be a lot of overlap between the minor and the major, and you may only have to pick up like 2 or 3 extra classes to lock down that minor.
Yeah, and then it's like, why not?
Yeah, why not? But I think it's really interesting, and again, it's always like a trade-off in terms of time and effort that you have in any given day. And I don't believe that a minor or even a double major is going to be substantially more impressive on a resume than real experience or extra time spent working or anything like that. So for status reasons, in most cases, unless you have a very specific goal that you think 2 majors are really going to help with, like if you're just like, hey, that would probably look good on my resume, it's probably not that
like
great.
It's not compelling enough for the sake of a resume line.
Yeah.
Compared to if you're passionate about it and you really think you want to do something with it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what you're pretty close to, or darn near 3 languages now.
Yeah. Well, I speak a little bit of them.
Yeah, you mean you're fluent in Spanish?
Yeah, speak a lot of Spanish. Speak
how close in French?
75% of that in French.
Okay.
And I probably know the first year and a half or 2 worth of Japanese stuff. But I'm not like conversationally fluent.
Yeah.
But I digress.
But there's a lot
want
of
this to become a language.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. So those are the thoughts on double majors and minors. All right, so the next one on the list is clubs and campus organizations. And I'm curious, what clubs and campus organizations did you do in college?
Not enough.
Did you do any?
I tried archery club once. I went once.
Did you get to shoot a bow?
No, I never went again.
Wait, you went to archery club, but you never shot a bow?
I went to
Was it just a meeting?
The intro meeting, first meeting.
Really?
After that, everything became like a mess, and I was juggling classes and all this stuff. I went to Magic Club, Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, it's because one of our best friends started Magic Club. That was good. I forgot to list that. Yeah, we did that. That was fun.
That was great. So I'm very introverted, so I missed out on a lot of that stuff, which is unfortunate because, I don't know, I think it could have been a good idea. Basically, I kept always having an excuse not to go to the one tonight. I can go next week. I'll get my life together. I'm busy today. I'm not really feeling it. I'm hungry. Just like the dumbest excuses.
I have to wash my hair tonight.
Yeah.
It takes a while.
Yeah. Especially for you.
Exactly. And I got to do the Farrah Fawcett spray.
Yeah. But I didn't actually join a lot of clubs. I was a part of like a French club and archery for a little bit and several, but I ended up not going to most of them. And every time I thought that next week would be the week that I'll totally have everything together, the problem is that as the years go on in college, I only got busier.
Yeah, that tends to happen.
And then there were suddenly no more next weeks. They were all gone. It's kind of like, I could make that same discussion about life, but in college it happens really fast because it's only a few years.
The really funny thing, I remember all of us during our final year of college being so excited to graduate because we would finally have time.
That's not how that works. That is a lie.
I remember we were just saying, oh yeah, I won't have classes or homework anymore, so I'll just go to my job and then I'll come back and I'll have the rest of the night, every single night, to do whatever I want. And now I think you and I both look back at college and think, a lot of the times we had more time back then.
I had so much free time back then. Managing classes is easy in comparison.
And I think in our case, we often do this to ourselves because we take on a lot of projects.
Arguably, if we could just we clock out at 5 and then we just completely ignore and take the work out. I guess in our case, it's hard for me to get the work out of my head because I care about it and I can keep working on it at any time.
Yeah, a lot of times you and I are working at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., or you're working at midnight on a Sunday or something.
Yeah, I'll just send you a Slack at 1 in the morning that's like, here's this thing. What now? You're not going to respond.
I'm never awake at that time unless Anna has convinced me to marathon Stranger Things, at which point I am. But Even for somebody who has a normal job like Anna, it's not just 8 hours at work. It's 8 hours plus a half an hour lunch, plus a 45-minute commute each way, plus coming home, taking care of the cat, cooking dinner,
Yeah, you got to eat at some point.
cleaning up everything. Like, you actually end up not having a whole lot of time. So time management, it doesn't get easier. I don't want to say it only gets harder, because you could choose not to have a cat and you could choose to eat Eggo waffles every day.
More power over it, maybe, but
Yeah.
it still doesn't get easier. And like, you get the weekend and you're like, I'm free now. But now all of your friends are free and they say, hey, do stuff with me. And you're like,
Yep.
but my personal projects,
That's Anna's big struggle right now.
I'll never play Final Fantasy again because my stupid friends want to be my friends.
Well, luckily for you, a lot of your friends are playing Monster Hunter.
Yeah, that's
currently.
pretty convenient,
So you
actually.
you have that convenient situation going. But Anna's been dealing with that because she's got her YouTube channel that she's trying to both edit videos for, but also she has to do customizations to get footage in the first place. And then she's getting art prints ready to sell at the convention. And then, of course, people are like, hey, let's go to restaurants or let's go hang out this weekend. And it gets harder. And I think the other thing is, a lot of the things that you're able to easily ignore in college, like eating terrible food, becomes more consequential when you get older. I don't know. If I eat terrible food, I'm constantly tired and I just feel terrible.
Yeah.
It's the worst. And if I skip exercising now, I feel horrible.
Used to be so invincible.
Yep. You could just have spaghetti with M&Ms in it, like our friend Colin did. Oh wait, you weren't there for that.
That sounds terrible. In that I don't like
Yeah.
spaghetti or M&Ms or the supposed combination.
You don't like spaghetti?
No,
Man, spaghetti's good, dude. Maybe you just haven't had good spaghetti.
it's boring.
You can make it unboring.
By making it something better than spaghetti.
No, I mean, like,
It's noodles and pasta sauce.
yeah, look, if you have really good tomatoes,
You know what's a
make
better
really
sauce?
good quality pasta
Cheese
sauce.
sauce.
I will agree with that,
There we
because
go.
all food is a delivery mechanism for
Granted,
cheese.
my cheese sauce is like cashew cheese, but it's still better.
It's true. I don't know, man. What do they call that? Like pomodoro or something? I forget the Italian name. Point being, a simple spaghetti can be delicious if it's made
It
right.
can, but I still don't care.
And then if you toss in some pecorino romano cheese and some mushrooms and some onions
Nope.
and some carrots, shred the carrots to kind of take the acidity out of the cheese or the tomato. This is a cooking
The problem
podcast
is
now.
it's still pasta. I'm not that into pasta.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
You know? Make it a pizza.
But yeah, so for clubs and campus organizations, I did business council, which was very rewarding. And business council at Iowa State was basically like this club where you were kind of like the go-between between the faculty and the students. So you did a lot of advising. Like, there was peer advising hours we would do where people could literally come in and ask us more experienced upperclassmen in business council.
Oh, you were
Hey.
business senpai.
Yes,
Is
we
that
were
basically
business
what you were saying?
senpai, and we
Okay.
noticed people during our peer review hours. Yes, so we would tell people, "Hey, take this class. This professor's
Yeah.
good." That kind of thing. Here's what you should do based on your goals, and then we would put together events and stuff like that. So that was very rewarding. That gave me some leadership experience. And then Magic Club was cool. I did the Solar Car Club, which I did not last long
yeah.
in, because during my freshman year, I was fairly convinced that I was not an engineer type. Like, I was interested in IT, but my brain was like, you're not an engineer. You can't actually build cool things, which is totally false. But back then I believed it, so I didn't last in that. And then I did Guitar Club. And Guitar Club led to me doing the one time that I've ever played an open mic night, which is fun.
Oh,
And I may
that's
want to
cool.
do that in the future. All right, so number 3 on my list here, and I don't think this is anything you ever did.
Yeah, I didn't do much, you know.
No, I got some stuff down here at the bottom that you did.
Oh, good.
For sure. Because a lot of this isn't like only college. But committees. So apart from clubs, what I learned in college is that there are certain committees you can join. And in my case, there were 2 that I joined. There was the Computer Advisory Committee, which was mostly faculty, and then me, because I guess they wanted a student on it. And basically we just voted on budget requests for like departments wanting to have laptops given to them or stuff like that.
Oh.
And I had to meet once a month for that. And then there was also an academic standards committee. And so I was part of a committee that would literally decide whether or not to let people who were either on academic probation or who had been kicked out back into the school and we would like read their resume or their not resumes. They had to write essays about why they would do better this time.
Oh.
So we had to read them and say, all right, should we let this person back in or not? Those I thought would be worth it because I thought they would look really cool on my resume. They were not worth it for that reason. And at this point, I just want to put it out there, filling your resume up with a bunch of really impressive sounding stuff isn't, like, you don't have to do that. You can be successful if you don't fill your resume up with a ton of stuff. Like, that never did anything for me.
Well, I feel like filling it with stuff that you don't really care about is also a little bit of a trap. Like, like I tell Ashley when she's trying to figure out what art to display for certain things, and she's like, I don't really want to do that one. And I'm like, if you don't want to do it, don't let them know that you can.
Yep.
Because then they're going to ironically be like, that's my favorite thing ever. Could you do more of that? And you're going to say, no.
That's true.
Like, what if somebody wanted to hire you and their first thought was, this guy was on an academic standards committee. That sounds like the most amazing thing we should hire him for. And you're just like, no, don't look at that line.
You got the job, and we're putting you on the standards committee.
It was just supposed to look like I had a lot of text.
Yeah, exactly.
All right? Forget about it.
My resume got too big in college. I had to cut stuff. So the one nice thing about doing those was that I actually got a lot more face time with people who worked at the college. There were a lot of professors and administrators who were on those committees, so I kind of got on a first-name basis with them through doing that. So it was a good networking opportunity, though there are other networking opportunities like going to office hours or doing research opportunities with a professor. It's not the only way to do it.
And
but
of
it
course,
wasn't
you didn't have to put that on your resume. You could always
True.
just skip it.
Oh, it wasn't that I regretted putting it on my resume. It was that I regretted spending the time
For
like,
that,
every
for that
week
being
for
the
a
main
whole semester.
reason.
Yeah, trudging across campus to go and tell a student whether or not they get to be back in classes. Like that's
maybe you like holding that power, and you just
I don't.
No.
I really don't.
Buy me lunch and I'll think about it.
I don't like holding power over people.
That seems like a weird position to be in as a student.
Yep, I really don't. And that'll come into play in the part-time jobs section. This week's episode is sponsored by Brilliant, which is a math and science learning platform that uses challenges and active learning to help you learn a lot more efficiently. So the thing about most normal classes is they're lecture-based, right?
Yeah.
So you come in, you spend the first, day or two going around the room, introducing yourself, telling everyone what your favorite football team is or something, and then there's always a bunch of like introductory lecture content, and it takes a while to start actually learning the subject that you wanted to learn. And I think this is a reason why a lot of people end up burning out when they get into a subject that they initially thought was going to be really interesting. So the way Brilliant works is basically the opposite of that. You choose one of their courses, and there are many courses in math and science and computer science that I'll list out here in a second, and you are immediately thrown into a challenge that you have to solve basically independently. Now, it's not like they're never going to give you the answer, but you're asked a question, and whether you get a piece of scratch paper or a calculator or an IDE to code something, you have to figure out the answer yourself. And then it'll tell you whether or not you were wrong. It'll give you an explanation of why you were wrong and why the right answer was correct. And then the great thing is they have this fantastically detailed wiki for basically all their concepts that you can dig into if you want to flesh out your knowledge of something that you just learned, whether or not you got it right or wrong. So some of the classes that you'll find on Brilliant include things like calculus, probability, logic classes, science classes like classical mechanics and astronomy, and a lot of computer science classes ranging from the basic stuff like sorting algorithms and recursion to really, really cool stuff like machine learning and the basics of memory and hardware. So if you're interested in any of those kinds of topics and you want to start learning a lot more efficiently and building your ability to learn actively in general, Brilliant is an awesome platform and you should definitely give it a try. If you want to start learning for free, you can go over to brilliant.org/collegeinfogeek, and the first 83 people who sign up using that link will also get 20% off of their annual subscription. Once again, that's brilliant.org/collegeinfogeek, and I want to give a huge thanks to Brilliant for sponsoring this episode and being a general great supporter of College Info Geek. All right, let's get back into it. So next up on our list is on-campus events. These are like the one-time things, and the one thing I'll say about these is if you want to know when and where they're happening, there's two good ways to do it. First, follow like campus departments, follow your school, follow even teachers on Twitter or Facebook, because a lot of times they post those things there. And then look at bulletin boards, because colleges have lots and lots of bulletin boards, all kinds of them.
Yeah.
Especially dorms. I don't think Freddie had that many bulletin boards. But then again, Freddie was like apartments. So
The dining place next to it had bulletin boards.
that's right. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, pay attention to bulletin boards. And I think like with these kind of things, especially if you're early on, like freshman or sophomore year, just go to a ton of them because they're going to be the way that you meet friends and you're going to find things that you like doing. I don't know. I think a lot of times people come to college and you don't know what you're going to like.
Yeah.
So you should go to things like Club Fest. I think Iowa State had 800 clubs and most of them were at this giant Club Fest and you could go and you could talk to the people who ran them and figure out when their meetings were. Those were awesome. And there was like the computer security competition. That wasn't a club. That was just like a one-time thing, but I was able to be part of it. And unfortunately, I wasn't part of the one that you and Will did, so I didn't get to experience Will putting the server password in the public chat and then saying,
it's a simple,
just kidding.
It just happens. It happens sometimes.
But I did get to be on one of the teams, and I think I was on the team trying to harden the servers. And, I wasn't super great at it, but it was a fun experience. And I also got to meet somebody building a custom arcade machine, so that was fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And then one note I have here for on-campus events, always, always, always go to the career fair. So I don't know how many times that your particular school, dear listener, has a career fair, but at ours, there was one in the spring and one in the fall. And I remember freshman year, almost everyone in my hall didn't go. Because they thought, I'm a freshman. I don't even need an internship until after my sophomore year. Why would I go to the career fair now? It's a big waste of time. One, go to the career fair and you're going to meet recruiters who are probably going to be back next year. And then they're going to remember you and think, hey, there was that really cool freshman who was here just to get experience and meet people last year. I'm pretty impressed already that they were here last year. So that gives you a leg up. And two, it's practice because career fairs are scary.
Yeah, like just adding it to your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. Even if you don't talk to that many people, just being able to walk in there, that way next time you got to go, you can imagine, I know what it's going to be like. It's not that scary. I know what I'm supposed to do. I go over here, I get my card, I walk through. There's a bunch of lines of people.
Mm-hmm.
Takes away a little bit of the anxiety that you already have from talking to recruiters.
Yeah.
Which, that's enough.
Plus, it gives you an opportunity to get some nice clothes if you don't have them, and then have them on hand for other events where you might need them.
Yeah.
Or in my case, go to JCPenney and buy a suit and have no idea how to have a suit fitted.
That's what I did. It just fit well already.
Yeah, you got lucky. Your suit fits nicely. My first suit, it wasn't good.
I've been training my body my whole life to fit off-the-rack suits. That's
the off-the-rack suit body program.
That's been my goal.
By Martin Bamey.
I save a very small amount of money in exchange for my life.
Now listen, suits are often cut too wide in the midsection and they have narrow shoulders. So what you're going to need to do is eat like 6 donuts a day until you hit a certain body fat percentage and never do overhead press. But you do want to do tricep press down because the arms are big, okay?
It's very specific.
Now, you could just go to a tailor.
Did you ever go to a tailor in college?
No.
Because I always like, sure, I'll go do that. And then once again, I would be like, next time, is that expensive?
Yes. I never went to a tailor. It's not expensive.
Okay.
Alterations to a suit are easy to do for the most part, and they're not that expensive.
I always imagined everything to be too expensive, so then I didn't even check.
True. Yeah, you thought that like driving to a different state would be super expensive.
I imagined everything to be untenably expensive.
Yeah, no, tailoring is pretty cheap, and the nice thing about a suit is, sure, there is some value to the quality, maybe the type of fabric they use, but when it comes down to it, the way the suit fits you is the most important factor in terms of how it's going to look. So if you buy a $150 off-the-rack suit at JCPenney and you have it measured well, so it's already a close fit, and then you take it to a tailor and get $25 or $50 worth of alterations done, now you have a $200 suit that fits you amazingly. Or you could go to Brooks Brothers and pay $1,000 for a suit and never get it altered, and it would look baggy on you. And it would look terrible.
Yeah, this is barely related to the episode, but last time I was in Ames, I was walking around with Ashley, and I was like, you know how I know we're in a college town? That dude on the block down there, his suit's 5 people too big.
Yep.
That's how I know we're in a college town right now.
It's not just suits, man. I think like 75% of the people at my internship, They had dress shirts that were billowing out of their khakis.
Yeah, it's like
and they would buy khakis that were, pleated weird, or they'd wear really
you
bad
get a good
shoes.
one, you stand out from like 90% of the other students.
Yeah.
There you go.
I get my slacks from Express, and they fit really nicely. And I get most of my dress clothes from Express, other than my suit. And they're cut really nicely. So pay attention to fit. I know that's not really part of the podcast topic, but
it's like
it's a little bonus tip.
A little off.
But go to the career fair. Always go to it. Even if you go talk to one company during your freshman year, that's experience. And it's gonna make it easier when you really need to go talk to recruiters. All right, part-time jobs. This is another decent way to spend your time in college, or if you were me and possibly you, a required way to spend your time in college.
Required in what sense?
If I didn't work in college, I wouldn't have been able to afford it. Like, I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship that paid for my tuition, but I had to take out loans for my dorm and everything, and then I had to work to
you took
pay
out
for.
fewer loans than I did, though.
Did I?
Yeah.
I took what they gave me on the FAFSA for federal loans. Did you take private loans too?
No, I just got a bunch of extras. I had to take like the max every year.
Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense. All right, let me rephrase that. You could take loans to pay for everything, but the loan eligibility I had was Stafford loans, which basically paid for my dorms.
Okay.
And my parents were no way in heck going to take out a Parent Plus loan, and I don't fault them for that at all. And I think there was like the Perkins loan. I don't know if I was eligible for that. I think my family's EFC was like too high for certain things. So basically it was like, all right, Tom, if you want to be able to buy your textbooks and be able to have money on the weekends occasionally, or be able to buy some stuff for your dorm, you're going to have to work. Otherwise you're taking out private student loans. And in my opinion, don't take out private student loans if you can help it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. There's always edge cases.
I like the government protected ones.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't like private student loans. Sometimes they make sense, maybe, but usually just no. Especially if you have time for part-time jobs, because as we've talked about in previous episodes, there are 4 tiers of job desirability in college, and the top 3 all have benefits beyond just the money. Yeah. Tier 1 is any job that gets you real experience in your major area, which I was able to get through my IT Solution Center job, my web development job, and my research center job where I did web development as well, and some cool automation stuff. Any job where you get professional experience in communication, in teamwork, any of those additional soft skills that employers are looking for, that's my tier 2. And I got that through being a resident advisor, through working at the Business Career Services office, and by being a Cyclone aide, which was basically like the people who helped all the new students coming in get signed up for classes and gave tours and answered questions. Yeah. And then any kind of job that gives you downtime to work on homework as well, which I got through, again, the Business Career Services thing and through the Solution Center when there was downtime. I was making money on all those, but also there was benefits.
Yeah.
Like real resume building experience. And I honestly think that my part-time jobs in college contributed more to my hireability than my degree.
Yeah, I think that too. It's also a good time management practice.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I don't know. Was your job in college that you had, like the first one, was it set hours?
Yes. Yeah, I worked in evenings for a long time.
That's right. Yeah. So you still had to figure out how to schedule your homework around evening shifts.
Yeah, and it sounds hard, and it is, but I think time management's a skill that was worth building.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially early on, so that I could get good at it while classes were easy.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, it wasn't a big deal.
That's why the first course that we are going to build is going to be very time management based, because that's a very important skill. For me, that Solution Center job, every week they would open up a calendar full of hours that I could take, and it was like a feeding frenzy. Basically, it was first come, first serve. Oh, if you want the good shifts, you better be there right away. So I would be there right away, refreshing the page right before the time that it would become available. But of course, there were like 5 or 6 other employees doing the same thing. So every week I would have to reconstruct my calendar based on what shifts I was able to get.
That sounds like an extra challenge. I did not have to do that, luckily.
Yep. It was time management boot camp. But yeah, part-time jobs are definitely a good thing. I am a huge fan of them. I know there are certain college bloggers and college experts who say, your studies are your full-time job. You shouldn't have a job in college, but come on. I don't know. Unless you're in medical school or something and your life is studying, you got 10 hours a week to work and get some resume experience and
I
get
had
some
like
burrito
5 or
money.
6 relevant jobs on my resume by the
Yeah.
time I got out. It's very helpful.
Yeah, I think it was super duper helpful. Internships are also very helpful, but I think having a resume out of college that didn't just have one single internship, but that had an internship and 3 IT related jobs, plus other jobs that I could swap out if it was maybe not an IT related position,
Yeah.
was really impressive.
It also builds on your stories you can pull for interviews.
That's true, yeah. It's a little harder to pull stories from classes.
Well,
Unless
it's
they were,
also
like,
hard if
big
you have
projects.
one single big story and then you keep using it for all of their questions at the interview.
Mm-hmm.
It's better if you have several stories so they're not just like, so your entire life was forged in this 3 hours?
Yep. Yes, it was.
Sounds tough.
The whole life. I just realized I have to bump our list. We're going to keep 14. This is a little bonus here, but we have to bump the number of the list up to 15 because I forgot to list studying abroad.
Oh, no.
Which is definitely an option and one that neither of us took advantage of.
Kind of wish I did, but I couldn't. I don't think that was fiscally feasible at the time,
Yeah, because you would have had to take out extra
but that
loans.
would have been really cool.
I don't think the federal loans applied to study abroad programs,
Yeah.
but there are loan programs and scholarship programs that you can look for that are study abroad specific. So if anyone's interested in that, number 1, look at those things. 2, our writer extraordinaire, Ransom Patterson, went to, I think, Northern Ireland for study abroad, and I interviewed him about it. I can't remember the episode number. It may have been like episode 101 or 102, but that'll be in the show notes. So we've got a whole episode on study abroad experience to put or to give people more information. All right, next thing on my list, volunteering. And this is like not necessarily a college thing, but it's definitely something you can do in college. And
Yeah.
It can be very rewarding, can be a very good way to make friends. And a lot of times it can be a way to get work experience that you wouldn't have otherwise been able to get because they wouldn't pay you for it.
Yeah.
So really good example, when I was in college, I was part of a church youth group, and the church that I was at was ridiculously big. Like it was basically a rock stadium. And I volunteered to run the audio during the night services, which basically required me to learn a mixing board that was basically wider than I am tall. And then in the back, I had to learn just ridiculous racks of patch panels and XLR cables and figuring out how to hook up every single instrument and every single speaker on the PA system. So I learned how to run venue-sized PA and audio live production.
That's cool.
And I don't think anybody would have paid me to do that in college, especially with the level of experience I had, which was 0.
Yeah. It's kind of like an easier way to get an unpaid internship in that there probably aren't that strict of interview processes to get you through it, or people clamoring for the position.
Yeah, there really weren't that many people clamoring for it. I think they really needed somebody, and they were like, nobody wants to do this because it's too complicated.
Yeah.
I said, well, I'll do it because it sounds fun. And then like one time I just volunteered to go clean apartments with them as well. And that sounds really unfun and boring.
What kind of apartments?
It was
like
literally just
regular
apartments
people's apartments
I
that
don't know
are
if-
dirty. What kind of setup is this?
I think what it was is that it was like low income housing that was
Okay.
going to be given to people, and it was just like really
needed to
dirty
be
from the
prepared.
previous people.
Oh, okay. I was just like, what? You volunteer maids? What kind of?
It wasn't
that
just
makes
like,
more
oh,
sense.
we were going to go clean some frat bros apartments.
Excuse me, I'd like to clean your house for you.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly
That's
what the
okay.
situation was, but it was people who were going to be coming in, and they may have been refugees, or they may have been, I don't know what it was.
That's cool. That makes more sense.
But it sounded really unfun. But then I showed up, and I mean, we were there for like 4 hours just cleaning apartments, and it was actually a lot of fun because it turns out when you're doing something active and you're having, I don't know, cleaning is kind of a team effort, you make friends.
Yeah.
It's a good way to make friends. So volunteering, that's one thing. Entrepreneurship was something I put on here. And the clearest example was, College Info Geek became a full-time business for me eventually. But I did freelance web design in college, and I used Craigslist and I used word of mouth to get clients. The other thing is I was looking through my calendar to see what all I did during my freshman year.
Oh, you
and
still
I
have
kept
that?
seeing, I go back. I have to, it's a disconcerting amount of clicks to get back to 2010 now. But
Oh no.
this is our daily reminder that we're old and dying. Got to have that in every episode. I kept seeing all these little blocks of meet this person to sell computer at this library or meet this person to sell monitor. And that reminded me, I spent a lot of time getting my hands on computer parts and then selling them. Or I would go get my hands on a bunch of computer parts and I'd build a full system and I'd put like Ubuntu on it and then sell it to somebody who just needed a web browsing machine. So that was a decent way to make money. And it was kind of fun. I don't know if you did any entrepreneur-y things. Other than
Built college info geek
built,
website.
Yeah, you built college info
I
geek
did other
website.
projects, but I didn't make much money through them.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, honors program. So I have there's two list items here. There's the actual school honors program, and then there are honor societies, which are different and independent. So I don't think you really have much experience with either of these.
I didn't care to get into either.
Yeah. So at Iowa State and many big universities, there is an honors program that you can be part of. You apply to it either when you're applying to college, or I think you can also get into them later on when you're already a student. So these things were, I would say during my freshman year, the freshman honors program was very worth it because it immediately got me able to network with a bunch of other really smart students. There were a bunch of really cool programs we got to take part in. And there was like a whole retreat we did where we like stayed in a cabin over a weekend.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
that was fun. But honors programs always have requirements for you to graduate. And when you graduate with honors, you get to put honors graduate on your resume. Cool. And you also get to graduate with this cool gold cord around your neck while you're wearing your robes.
It's like a chain.
Yeah, it's like a gold chain, like 2 chains, but it's like 1 cord.
You're not as cool as 2
That's
chains.
my honors
that's
rap
the problem.
name. 1 cord. Yeah. I'm not as cool as 2 chains. It's fine.
It doesn't do the same thing.
Nope. So I did the freshman honors program during my freshman year. And then during the next 3 years, I would have to take part in these extra classes. And then I would have to do a final project and present it to somebody. And I was going to do it. But then as I started doing College Info Geek, I realized I could be pouring my hours into building this business, or I could be pouring my hours into doing this extra project and taking these extra classes literally just for bragging rights. Because I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So there is no possible interview that I really wanted to go to where I could maybe show that my honor status makes me a better job candidate.
Pin it up on the fridge.
Yeah, I put it on my fridge there. Gives my mom. Hey, Mom, here's a picture of me and my honors cord. And I will tell you, because I didn't graduate with honors, my parents didn't come to my graduation. They actually haven't talked to me since then. They're horribly disappointed, and she's taken down
all the time.
all the art that I made when I was a kid that she had up on the walls.
Art,
she burned it.
Oh no!
Because
she could have at
of
least
that.
cooked that pasta.
She could have, but she didn't. She burned it. She texted me. She said, "I wasted that pasta because you didn't graduate with honors. You are a disappointment to this family, and you are in fact not part of this family anymore. Goodbye."
Well, yeah.
And good night.
It's like credentials versus skills.
Yes.
And your time can go to sometimes both of them at once. Often skills will lead to credentials and vice versa. But sometimes you're just sacrificing one for the other. And of the two, I think skills is usually more worth it unless you're in a very, very, very specific career field that demands the credentials.
Yes, which I wasn't.
Yeah.
It turns out bloggers don't need credentials.
Sometimes they do need that.
Yep.
You know, if you're trying to be a doctor, don't throw your grades to the wind.
No, you got it. Yeah.
You can't just, I'm freelance doing surgery out on the side, but that's not going to...
Mm-hmm. We have a whole
It might
episode.
get you arrested, actually. I don't know.
Actually, we have 2 medical school related episodes. Episode 26 with Ryan Newen, which is about studying in medical school. And then I forget the episode number with my other friend, Ryan Gray, which was about like getting into medical school.
All the Ryans like medical stuff.
It's a bunch of Ryans. It is. It seriously is. And also Ryan Gray lives in Denver, which is pretty cool. But if anyone wants to learn about what is indeed required and do you need perfect grades, listen to those. They're enlightening. Because Ryan that Vietnamese last name, it looks like Nguyen or Nguyen, but it's just Nguyen, I think. I don't know, maybe someone's going to
I don't know
correct
Vietnamese.
me. Somebody has told me that, at least in America,
I know it's not pronounced
they just
the way
say
it's spelled here,
Nguyen,
but...
And he says it's Nguyen. But he didn't have perfect grades, but he did have some extra stuff that made up for it and got him accepted at a lot of medical schools. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, I ended up quitting the honors program because I realized I had a flywheel going with College Info Geek. And the more time I put into that, the more successful I thought I was going to be in the thing I wanted to be successful in.
Yeah.
So I ended up quitting it. I gave up the gold cord. I got disowned by my family. It's fine. You know, I can deal with the crippling loneliness because money, success, and power cures loneliness, turns out.
It does cure it.
All right. And so the other one here is honor societies. So these are things like Phi Beta Kappa, Phi Theta Kappa, which is the community college equivalent, Cardinal Key Society, things like that. So if you have decent grades in college, you are probably going to be invited to apply or join one of these things. And they're going to say, when you apply and join the Cardinal Key Society or the Phi Beta Kappa or whatever it is, you're going to have all these benefits, including access to our alumni network and all this kind of cool stuff. But invariably, you have to pay.
Yeah, that's why I didn't join any of those.
Yeah. Now, I think, weirdly, for Cardinal Key, I didn't have to pay. I had to go to an interview, and I had to interview with them, and then they actually came into one of my classes during the class and handed me the key along with one other girl who had gotten in. So I'm technically
it was
in
like
the...
a Valentine. They just bring it in and they're like, let's pass them out. What? That's
it's like
very showy. It's very showy of
Valentines.
them, but they probably wanted you to feel special in class. So that
Well,
you
yeah.
felt
Otherwise,
honored,
how are you going to convince people to join unless
you got to make it seem
30
like
people?
Like
yeah, everyone's got to be jealous.
Okay.
Well, I want to get a cool like balsa wood key with red paint on it that says that I'm smart. So I guess I'm technically a Cardinal Key Honor Society member, and I can tell you that I have never done anything with that ever. So my opinion on honor societies
maybe you
is
still will.
It's more resume fodder, and it's not necessarily all that useful. So I wouldn't be spending my money on it. I think the reason I did the Cardinal Key one is because they said that there was a required interview process, and I wanted to go and see if I could pass the interview.
It is interview practice.
Yeah, it was more interview practice. Always take interview practice. That's the tip here. But don't take up honor society things just because you want resume fodder. I don't know. Go do cool things to get resume fodder. All right, frats and sororities. You and I know nothing, Jon Snow.
I assume they're exactly like all the movies, and if I'm wrong, I don't know.
Animal House is actually
that's true, right?
A documentary.
Happens all the time.
Every frat house has John Belushi in it. He's there,
well,
no matter which one.
There, is it really a frat house?
I think every frat house has their own John Belushi.
Okay,
but no, I mean, so frats and sororities are very different. They're very diverse. It's hard to generalize too much about them because even at our school, there are religious fraternities. There are professional fraternities that aren't residential, and you could just be part of them, and they're like a club. There are dry fraternities where no alcohol is ever consumed, even if you're a senior on the house premises. And then there's your normal ones. So it all comes down to what is the one that you're looking at going to be like. But in my opinion, a fraternity is basically just like a paid package deal for friends and living accommodations and opportunities. Like that's I mean, and I guess college in a way is sort of like that too, but like fraternities are even more that because it's basically like, all right, you're going to pay this much per semester to get a place to live, all these brothers or sisters if you make Rush, and you're going to get all these connections afterwards. You're going to have this whole alumni network, which could potentially be useful.
It sounds like a more physical version of the honor society thing you were just talking about.
It kind of is. And then there's lots of events that you get to take part in. Get to. Let me put quotes around the word get because in a lot of cases you have to. So the one thing that turned me off of fraternities instantly when I was training to be a cyclone-aide, which is that job where we helped all the new students learn about the campus, we had to tour a fraternity and a sorority and learn everything there was to know about it so we could answer questions. And I remember we were walking up the stairs at one frat house, and there was this corner landing in the middle of the staircase, and the tour guide, who was part of the frat, said, every Saturday night, one of the brothers has to stand here for the whole night, and it's basically his turn to babysit the other brothers, and if one comes back drunk, he has to help him get back to bed, or he has to make sure nobody's doing anything wrong. And I thought to myself, okay, so wait, you want me to pay the same amount of money that it costs to live in a dorm for the privilege of being a babysitter once a month? No.
I can
I'm
see
not
how that
doing
was
that.
not that convincing.
Yeah, so that turned me off of it right away, and I was just like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Of course, a lot of people enjoy their time in fraternities. I'm sure we have listeners who are in them right now or who graduated from them. If you liked it, that's fine. But I guess my opinion is it's a package deal for many things you can go get independently in college. You can live in a dorm, and there's going to be plenty of neighbors to be friends with. The quality of those neighbors I do not think is going to be any worse than your frat brothers.
Yeah, it's
just
like
different people.
You don't have to do this to have a real college experience.
Yep.
So choose
Everything-
it only if you want it.
Everything you can get in a frat, minus the Greek letters on your front door, and you could even glue those there.
Carve some in there.
You can get not in a frat. I guess the only thing you're not going to get is the specific alumni networks and like access to those people. So you can't just be like, yo, I'm part of Alpha 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 frat. Can you get me a job in your company, bro? You can't do that, but you could maybe go meet the same people through networking events or just by saying I'm an alumni of your school, because a lot of people are pretty receptive to that, So it's another thing to think about. Next on my list is searching for scholarships. This is something that a lot of high schoolers do, which is smart, but then they stop when they get to college, which is not smart.
Don't stop.
Don't stop. I think you got scholarships while you were in college, right?
I got my best scholarship when I was already in college.
Your best one?
Yeah. Better than I got coming in.
What was your best one?
The one that gave me like another $5,000 or $6,000 for 2 years.
Wow.
So it was like a $10,000 or $12,000 thing, and I didn't get that coming into college. I got that afterward, applying for some other stuff. So don't give up.
Yeah.
Don't give up on the scholarships. There's some good money in there.
I did get my best scholarship in high school, but then I got all of my other ones in college.
I was terrible in high school, so that wasn't going to work for me.
Fair enough. But yeah, I think I spent, I don't know, maybe an hour a month or something applying for scholarships, and I just kept my ear to the ground. Like the business college would send out a universal application every semester where if you're part of the business college, you sign up via this one application and you're in the running for 10 or 20 different awards. And 2 years, I got one of them. And then there was an entrepreneurship group scholarship where like the entrepreneurship office on campus offered one, and you just basically wrote a report about what you had done. And then it was almost like a grant to keep going. So 2 different years, I was able to get $1,000.
Yeah.
And then there were a couple other ones as well. So yeah, keep applying for scholarships. I don't know, make about an hour a month of time. All right, so I've got 3 more on this list.
All right. I wasn't keeping track, so that's good to know.
So, and these are my favorite ones.
Ooh.
They're all like not super college specific now. One is independent learning projects.
Okay, those
so
are cool.
For me, and independent learning or just independent projects in general. College Info Geek was an independent project for fun. I don't know if I was like specifically intending to learn anything. I just wanted to have a blog because I had gotten rejected from being a writer at a bigger blog. So I wanted to have one, and I did it. You did the same thing.
Yeah.
You didn't get rejected from a blog, but you did build your own blog and you were writing articles in college. There's all these independent things you can do. So don't look at the course catalog and think, oh, that's all I can learn. No, you can do anything.
Yeah, I mean, I recorded 2 EPs in college.
That's true.
I got all the achievements in Skyrim. That was an important one. No, I did a lot of different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Built College Info Geek, had a billion part-time jobs, studied languages on the side, did several independent studies that counted for classwork, but were secretly me just building my girlfriend's website and getting a grade for it.
There you go. Yeah, that's smart.
Independent stuff was where I actually did things.
Ooh, and there's actually there's 2 parts of this that I kind of didn't think about until just now. There's your casual independent learning projects, but then there's also independent study.
Yeah.
And there was one class that was part of my major that I really didn't want to take because it was my senior year, and I realized I want to run College Info Geek full time at this point. I don't want to take this required class. I will never use it. So I went to the guy who ran the program and I asked, hey, can I replace this required class with an independent study? And they said, as long as you propose something that seems like a worthwhile project, yes. So I proposed learning how to build iPhone apps. And then I used that semester to try to build an iPhone app for College Info Geek. I failed at building a full iPhone app for the blog because it turned out to be really hard. But I did build 2 working prototypes, learned Objective-C, and was able to write a really cool blog post about it. And then I just turned that blog post into my final report and passed the independent study.
Nice.
So 3 credits, didn't have to do any of the tests or homework or anything for that boring class. And it was cool. And I got some coding experience from it. One thing I had listed here was relationships. And I know you and I have both gotten some questions from students who are asking, should I have a relationship in college? Is it going to kill my productivity?
Yeah. Will a girlfriend or boyfriend ruin my dreams?
Yeah.
Yes.
In my experience,
immediately.
no.
Your life is over. It's over.
The moment you get a girlfriend in college, you need to burn all your goals because you wake up the next day, you're in a suburban house.
You've been married for 40 years.
Yep, 40 years of marriage.
You wake up that way.
Your kids are in college, actually, yeah. You just skip it all. The moment that you talk to a girl, the moment. No, I mean, I don't know. Relationships are about communication. So if you meet somebody and you want to be in a relationship with them and you have goals, then communicate about that. And I don't know. I think that a lot of people are going to get in relationships in college, and it's not going to be the person they end up staying with forever.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's because through communication, you're going to learn that you aren't compatible, or that one person wants to monopolize your time and that doesn't work with your goals. But then maybe somebody else who you really like is totally willing to give you time for your things because they've got time for their things.
Yeah, and even if it doesn't work, that experience is useful.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, if you've really got a problem with the time management thing, it's still a time management challenge, and now it's also a communication and relationship challenge.
That's true.
And I mean, it's not impossible. I was like, on Saturdays, I do stuff with Ashley, but I was like, on Sundays, I'm working on my blog.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to disappear for a while, and that's it. You just find a way to make it work that everybody agrees on, and it's not going to – there's no reason a relationship should crush your life, and if it is, then maybe that's not the right one.
Do you guys still do that?
Yeah,
like
for
the
most
Saturday
part.
and Sunday kind
for
of
the
split?
most part, Saturday is fun. I don't always do something extra productive on Sunday. Sometimes I'm just like, I'm just going to play games.
Yep.
But in general, on Saturday, we still say we are specifically going to go out and do something cool together, restaurant, go hiking.
That works.
And then on Sunday, it's more expected that if I have something productive or she has something productive she wants to do, we do it then.
Do you guys wake up at the same time too?
Yeah.
Okay. Like
we
most
do.
days?
Yeah.
I tend to wake up a lot earlier than Anna. So for me, it's like Saturday morning, I'll just do some work. And then when she wakes up, we're good to go.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Got my little bit of work done. So that works perfectly. And then the last thing that I had on here was just fun things. And I just put that on there because...
Fun also ruins your life, and your dreams are crushed once again. Everything, if you don't do or do any of the things on this list, your college experience is ruined.
Yep.
No pressure.
Yep. Actually, there's a very specific order of these 14 things, and if you don't do it in that order, the world will end.
Did you have certain fun things listed, or just like have fun, live a little in general?
Well, I put the most memorable, or one of the most memorable fun things that I did on this list, which was when we were on campus during the summer after my freshman year, and I was with all the Cyclonades. 3 of us decided to try to get a picture in every building on campus, which is 185 buildings. We only made it to 75 buildings, but it was still super fun going to 75 buildings and trying to find a creative way to take a picture in all of them.
Yeah.
We went and met the president of the university, and I don't know, we did a bunch of cool things. So do cool things. Do mattress jousting in the hallways.
I was thinking,
I
did hear tale of mattress jousting.
We did mattress jousting.
I wasn't there that year.
And then when I was in RA, my students, they didn't do mattress jousting, but they would do mattress vaulting. So they'd stack mattresses up in the hallway, and then, they would line the floor with mattresses in the hallway, and then they would hold broomsticks up and do backwards jumps over them. They didn't have poles, but they would try to jump over the broomstick and see how high they could jump, and then land on the mattresses. I didn't tell them to stop that. I did tell them not to take a kiddie pool up to the 4th floor and fill it with water.
That sounds like it will damage a lot of things.
Yes.
Don't do that one.
I definitely know it will damage things because in one of the other halls that I wasn't the RA of, somebody threw a football and hit one of the fire sprinklers. and just flooded the 2 floors beneath them. So
I bet they were happy.
No playing with water in the dorms.
Yeah.
But yeah, just make some time for fun. You need time to relax. You need time to recharge your batteries. You can't be a productivity robot all the time.
I put like 400 plus hours into Monster Hunter, you know, because somebody's got to do it, Tom. Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody has got to do it. I put probably 50 hours into Geometry Wars pacifism mode.
Especially social stuff, because it's not impossible to make friends as an adult. It's not crazy difficult. You can go out and do stuff. But as an adult, at least so far in my experience, it is way more like you have to schedule everything. People get families. People have jobs. People have personal lives. People have stuff they need to do to their apartment, house, or whatever. They've got stuff. And you're like, hey, are you free this Friday? Does that work for you? You've got to set up like dates with all your friends. Whereas in college, we just constantly had 25 plus people in the apartment.
Yep.
And they were just there. Even if we weren't actually hanging out with each other, it was like a village. We were always there around each other. I'm doing something separate. I think of something stupid. I yell it across the room. It's a good life, and it's hard to make that as an adult.
Yeah.
When you you got like 16 married couples and a bunch of kids, and you're all just hanging out playing video games and yelling at each other. Probably not as likely as it is in college. Yeah, see, it sounds great, but it's going to be really hard to get everybody to agree on that.
I miss that. I miss having people in my apartment that are just there doing their thing.
Yeah.
Like, even if I'm playing a single player game.
But you'd still have to schedule it now. You know, like, you're not just going to leave your door unlocked all the time.
Do you guys want to come over on Saturday? I know. You have to ask people to come over and say, hey, just come over and do nothing. Like, I don't know how people are going to react to that.
I got stuff to do.
But back then, it was like, okay. To do. And I don't know. We'll see. But it's definitely easier in college. Bottom line, make time for fun things.
Yeah, there are only so many next weeks.
And make time for fun things when you graduate. Because, you know, college isn't the only time to have fun. But my list is college-based. So,
yep.
Yeah. All right. That is our list. I guess there were technically 15 elements on it, but 14 that we really discussed. So show notes for this episode are going to be over at cigpodcast.com/198 or down in the description below if you're watching this on YouTube. And within those show notes, you'll be able to find links to the few other podcast episodes we mentioned, which were the study abroad episode and then the 2 about medical school. So check those out if you're curious. We'll also have links to any other potential resources that need linking. So check out the show notes. Within the show notes, there's also a link to rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts, which is a great way to support the show, help bump it up the rankings over on that platform, and build the audience, get more people listening to the show. So big thanks to you guys if you do that. And as always, thank you just for listening. I think that's about it. So until next week's episode, stay cute.